Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fin Factor. I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
This is episode number 84.
84. Maxim Latunov, the only
There you
Sharks
go.
player to wear number 84.
Yeah, I guess he's got a little nickname there amongst the fans, Tuna. Which I
Tuna?
don't know if that's the best nickname, to be honest with you.
I was like
I
Big
think
Tuna
I like that.
from The Office.
Big Tuna. Anyway, obviously we are back and we are in live format. We're also in stay-at-home format, we'll call it this time around. So if you've got any comments or questions, you want to go ahead and let Aaron know about that. He's got them on the laptop ready to rock right now. I know we've got a couple guys, a couple repeats. Zach Croft, Patrick Rabal were in there. I know those guys have been loyal to the show for a very long time. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know it's a little different, at least maybe for us, it's a little bit different trying to do the show this way. But we do appreciate you guys tuning in. So I guess unless there was something else you wanted to kick off, there were some comments from Gary Bettman talking about how he wasn't sure. And it's kind of what we were talking about last week, actually, was, can the NHL season continue? And it sounds like even Gary Bettman saying, it doesn't seem like it might be possible. Obviously, that's something he would prefer, but it doesn't sound like that's kind of in the cards as of right now. There's just too many moving parts, really, to try to get this thing done. When you talk about all of the different things that have to come together to be able to put on an NHL game. So your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, we're getting closer and closer towards, we're almost the middle of April now, the 12th. So I think it's inevitable that the season's going to be canceled. I just don't think that they're going to make it up. And I think they're kind of delaying the inevitable once they announce that it's done, obviously people are going to be pissed off, but people are going to want their money back for games, for one. Advertisers are going to need money back because they didn't get full advertising. So there's a lot of logistics that go into canceling everything, which they're probably they're probably setting up and working out the cost benefit of canceling a season versus not. So obviously it's going to hurt. MLS is in a similar situation because right now Santa Clara County just said that they don't see any sporting events until after Thanksgiving, and that's when MLS ends. So they're in an even worse boat because that is their entire season for an entire year. So they start in March. Where the Sharks, I was hopeful that they would be starting next season on time in October, and that might not even be the case now. That might even get delayed. So I'm less. I mean, it kind of helps that the Sharks weren't in a playoff position to be like, "Yeah, we're done with the season." I'm kind of done with the season and don't want it to go on. I can see, though, if they were to play it, the problem is certain places, and this is what Gary Bettman was talking about, certain places won't be able to play, like San Jose in Santa Clara County, because the county is going to be a little bit stricter than maybe some other places. They looked into doing that same thing that we talked about last week about baseball is looking at, right? Or at least Major League Baseball, the league, was looking at, where they would go to, I think, North Dakota and play because there's nothing out there and it's a neutral site. And having all the teams there and playing, but I can't see the Players Association signing off on that about going. They're going to be away from their families for the teams that win the cup for 2 months. It'll be a long time. But if they were to do that, I could see that the teams and the league would want to finish the regular season to kind of be like a mini training camp in a way going into playoffs. I mean, you can only do so much at home, so much biking, right? So much non-skating activity that to get back into shape, that you're going to need that. And it's not even always about the conditioning. It's about the speed of the game. And that's going to take a while to get back. So there's just so many moving parts. To me, I think the season's done and they're just kind of pushing it off and waiting.
Yeah. And all the things you've been talking about just there, it's all been with the players and the coaches and that kind of thing. Those people, they would need to live into in a bubble, basically, right? So, but we're not even talking about the rest of the guys that it takes to put a game on. The guys, the rink managers, the people who run everything going on at the rink. Yeah, there's not going to be spectators there, but there's still a lot of things that need to happen at the arena to make a game happen, essentially. And then you've got the guys in the broadcasting, for radio and television. There's a whole slew of people. There's a gigantic team. So all those people would also need to live in a bubble. And I just don't see, that happening with with all those people needing to be, away from their families for months at a time, so that they don't accidentally contract it and then come back into the work environment with it. And then here we go all over again. Right. So I just can't imagine that being the case. I can't see it happening. And if Santa Clara County specifically is saying you're not going to see any games until, Thanksgiving or whenever that time frame is, we're already leaking into the next season essentially. So I just don't see them finishing this one. And, I don't think that future generations are going to look back at this and go, what were they thinking? What were they doing? When obviously we have like this epidemic right now that's going on. And I think, history will look back and it'll understand, if there's not a Stanley Cup champion for 2020, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Now, obviously I've got some Shark logos behind me, so it's not a huge deal to me because we weren't in the race anyway. But I just don't think that just because it's desperate times, it doesn't necessarily mean we have to have desperate measures to try to make everything normal again. I think, it's not such a bad idea. Let's just call it quits on the season. By the time they get back to it, it's not going to feel like this season anyway. It's going to feel like the next season anyway. So I don't know. I'm a big proponent of just saying, you know what, it's okay. Let's just call it. It's unfortunate the teams that gave up. We talked about this last episode as well. The teams that gave up futures, picks or prospects for a rental player essentially, and they're not going to be able to use that rental player now if the season does end, which it sounds like it should. So I don't know what they're going to do for that to try to make reparations. I guess I don't know for that whole situation, but I don't know. I can't imagine a scenario where it makes more sense to have the season push and go forward. And you talk about the lack of healthcare and whatnot, that a lot of people are not able to get these testing done. Well, that puts anybody in the sporting business at the front of the line immediately. So I think that causes a big stir for the general public. Why should they get the testing before I can get it? Just because, there's sporting events and whatnot. So I think there's a lot of really slippery slopes that people can go down, or that the players in the league and everybody can go down by kind of trying to resume the season. I think, again, the right move for me. Call it quits, apologize for it later, and let's just move on to the next one. So speaking of moving on, why don't we go ahead and take a look at some of those comments, questions that I'm sure we have in that section down below there. So go ahead, fire away.
Well, Ben and Gunsry said, with quarantine going on, we should have more live editions. There's nothing much to talk about, but I think it should be fun. We agree.
Honestly, Ben, that's why we're here, bud. There's not a whole lot to talk about, but, we know that, you guys kind of enjoy hearing us talk. We certainly love talking with you guys, and it's kind of one of those things that, I don't know, Aaron, if you remember this or not. We used to have actually Super Key Grip Joe would remember this. We used to have like a once every Friday kind of like meetup kind of thing where all of us would get together, and that's kind of what this feels like now for me. It's like I hate missing it. I hate missing the live shows. So it's really good, Ben, to get back in the saddle and chat with you guys, and thanks for popping in.
There's some chatter in there about going after a goalie in the offseason.
Holtby, of course.
Well, not to. I don't think to replace Jones. I think to get because Dell's going to walk, so they're going to need what I think is a 1A 1B situation.
Okay.
With Jones. The three names out there are, and I don't know if this is what they're saying either, but the three names are Halak, Khudobin, and Leonard.
All very good, and I'm not sure about Halak and Khudobin in terms of age. I'm not sure how old they are.
It's exactly what I was looking at right now.
Okay.
Khudobin is 33.
Okay.
He's turning 34 in a month, in May.
Sure.
Halak is 34. When's his birthday? Again, turning 35 in a month. And Leonard is 28. And he turns 29 in July. So a 29, a 34, and a 35.
I think if it's not going to be like a long-term solution, then it doesn't really matter. If it's going to be a longer-term solution, then you're probably sneaking away to try to get rid of Martin Jones, is what that would sound like. If that's the case, I would much rather have Robin Leonard, obviously. I think Halak and Khudobin would be great as veteran backups that actually can and will push Martin Jones. Maybe not so much Khudobin over Halak. I think Halak is kind of the stronger of the two. I could be wrong. But I think Robin Leonard's ready for like a starting role. I think he's ready to jump back in the saddle again. So I don't know. I think if you pick up Robin Leonard, you're making a statement.
Yeah, I agree. Leonard's also obviously the younger of the three.
Mhm.
Halak, to me, he was dynamite when he was on Montreal years ago when he kind of first came into the league. He took over the starting role, was lights out, went to the playoffs. They won a couple rounds. And then he was on Boston. I mean, he's kind of bounced around the league on a few different teams, but to me, he's been a guy that always shows flashes of, wow, this guy should be a starter, and then collapses. Like, he just doesn't have enough to be the starter. But in a 1A, 1B situation, he is phenomenal. So I kind of like him for that, although he is older. But in a short-term situation, maybe a year or two at the most, I wouldn't mind signing him. Hudobin is, I think he's bigger. I think he's one of those goalies that's like 6'6", like just enormous, if I remember correctly. And I closed everything out, so I don't remember. But I don't like him as much. It's funny because they both played for Boston. Hudobin and Halak both played for Boston. Leonard, to me, would be more of a 1A, 1B situation in the next year or two. And then if he can handle it, taking over as the starter role for another couple of seasons before the Sharks get somebody even younger, draft somebody, kind of groom somebody else to take like a more like a what's it called, franchise role, I guess you should say.
Right.
They should focus on. I think they did draft a goalie last year. What's his name? Is that Amon?
Yeah. Well, they got a slew of goaltenders. We talked a little bit about those, the Emond and Sawchenko. We've got some guys in the pipeline now. Are they going to step in and be, number ones eventually, or are they going to challenge for it eventually?
Yeah. So I mean, I've been talking about getting Leonard since before the trade deadline. So obviously I would like him. And I was kind of shocked that he went to Vegas. That was just a weird trade for both Chicago and Vegas. Actually, not so much for Vegas. Maybe just an insurance for Fleury, but it didn't make sense at all for Chicago. It was a weird trade.
Yeah. Well, the other thing because I thought you were talking about was people trying to get Braden Holtby because there was a lot of kind of chatter, I think, just around, Twitter and boards and everything else about, Holtby's a UFA. They're going to try to unload Martin Jones and then they can go ahead and sign Holtby.
Right.
I never really understood that one because, again, Holtby's going to cost you quite a pretty penny. And yes, you unload some with Martin Jones. Yeah. But I think while the goaltending seems to be, somewhat of an issue, for me, it drops back to the defensive play. So I think there are other areas. And, when we talked to Jimmy Baker, he said something similar. He said, I want to see the team play the right way first, and then I'll tell you if there's a problem with goaltending or not. So to me, that was like, it wasn't an automatic that there was something wrong with goaltending. So, you can go out and try to replace Martin Jones, but I don't think that's going to solve all of your woes. But if we're not talking about that, we're talking about just getting a backup. I wouldn't be surprised if we just try to bring Dell right back in. I mean, if there's nobody else, at least Dell knows the system, and you've even said it too. Look, when you bring in a goaltender and he's new to the system, it takes him a while to figure out who he can and can't trust on the defensive side, what their tendencies are like, that whole thing. So, Dell's got to step above the competition and all that. And quite frankly, Dell didn't play that horribly near the end of the last little stretch that they had there. I mean, he picked up his game, fairly well when Martin Jones was getting his training done with Evgeny Nabokov, taking a lot of those games off. He had his spa day, if you will.
I also thought Jones picked up his game in the last month of the season. Yeah. Better than Dell did. I feel like he got a lot of work in, a lot of practice, and got to work on the little nitty gritty details. And then he was becoming the Jones that we all knew he could be, or was hoping he would be all season. But he got better to me. Anthony Sanchez says, "Hi guys, I'm here. Can we please not talk about trading Burns tonight? My wife has a steel toe boot in her hand."
I was waiting for it. I knew it. I was like, someone's getting. It was Anthony Sanchez. That's right. It was Anthony. He was like,
and then Isaiah followed up and said, "R.I.P. Anthony Sanchez."
All right, I will not be talking about trading Brent Burns tonight. So
I will just read some. I'll read some comments. Then I won't talk about it. I'll just read what's there. From Isaiah again, trading Burns would provide so much flexibility. I can see that.
Okay, Isaiah, dude, you're getting him in trouble right now, man. It ain't us, it's him. Okay.
Here's a different question. Going back to what we talked about earlier, from it just jumped off of me. From Patrick Cabral. I'm glad that we can call the season over, but Paul just mentioned the point about rental players and teams were in the hunt for the cup. So do you think the league should do something to compensate? No, because I think everyone's in the same boat to me.
Yeah. No, and I can see that.
The only thing I can see the league doing is doing what they did when there was no cup in 04-05.
Okay.
Putting everybody in the lottery with different amount, obviously, of chances to get that first overall, but jumbling up everybody in the lottery. I think that's the only kind of compensation that you're going to get. If there's no cup winner, if like there's nothing going on, like it's done, then that's what I could see them compensating with.
Yeah, no, actually, I like that idea. I like that idea a lot there. Just who knows where you would have actually ended up, and you did give up something nice. So we're going to try to give you an opportunity to win that lottery or whatever. I like that. I think that's it doesn't really hurt anybody because you've got a really low percentage chance if you're one of those teams that's high up in the playoff format. So no, I like that. I think it's a good consolation prize, if you will, in terms of actions that could be taken.
And Rob Iman said each team will likely be allowed a compliance buyout this offseason. I bet that happens too.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because the cap is probably not going to go up. Maybe it does go down, and they might allow 2 buyouts that don't hurt against the cap. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
I wouldn't be surprised either. The one thing about that, though, is everyone's going to be talking about how they need to buy out Martin Jones, right?
Which could be what happens. Maybe they buy out Jones, and then they sign Holtby or Leonard.
Yeah.
Right?
Both of them. Screw it. No, I could definitely see that happening. Any little extra thing that they can offer to these teams, especially the teams that gave up assets. That's the hard thing, is how do you compensate teams that give up assets? So I don't know. I mean, maybe the teams that were in playoff position would get that compliance buyout, and the teams that were way off in the bubble, maybe they don't. Who knows? But I think there's got to be something done. Absolutely has to be something done. And this is coming from a guy who is a Sharks fan, obviously, and we benefited from the way that the season is probably going to end in terms of picking up assets for guys that were on the expiring deals, and those teams that picked them up, they can't even use them.
Yep.
Apart from Barclay Goodrow, but
right. Anthony said this year's UFA forward group is horrible, which is true. We looked at it. If the Sharks are looking to upgrade it forward, it's going to have to come via a trade.
Yeah.
Yep. I think next year is going to be tough. I think it's going to be better than it was this year, but I think it's still going to be tough if they don't make any trades or have any kind of big splash. But it's hard to say. It really.
No, I'm with you on that one, and I know. The big fish out there is Taylor Hall, right? So, and he's a left winger, and the Sharks don't really need a left winger, right? And that's kind of what we've been saying. So a lot of people are going to want to go after him, though, because he's got the firepower. I get that. The one thing I will say is if you do go after Taylor Hall, that's all well and good with me. It's just you got to unload 1 year left wingers and turn him into a right winger or something like that, right? So you kind of want to balance it back out.
Would be my guess.
What's that?
Patrick Marleau, they switched to the right wing.
Or you could, switch a player from one wing to the other, sure.
Yeah.
One way or another, it's if you're going to pick up a high caliber player like that, first of all, you're going right up against the cap all over again. So your depth is not going to be there. So I mean, it's great that you just say that, we've got this really talented player, but at the end of the day, we already know how cap crunches can kind of cripple you, right, in terms of your depth. We've seen that already. So maybe not the best idea.
Andres Madrigal said, can we get a house tour? Can we see your toilet paper stash? What are your quarantine go-to snacks?
Oh, man.
I'm in my garage. Yeah.
You go
I'm
first.
in my garage, and I only have the lighting on right here in front of me, so you can't really see anything else, thankfully, behind. But, I got stuff all up in here. No, we didn't hoard toilet paper. We buy our toilet paper normally at Costco, and when all this stuff started, my wife was at Costco and she went to go buy toilet paper, and she got there at like 10 in the morning. She's like, "Oh, I'll go like on a Monday at 10 in the morning," and she walks in and she's like, the entire back row was gone, like the whole shelving of it's like all the water, toilet paper, paper towels, everything, and we just kind of normally stock up anyway.
Yeah,
and it was gone. We're like, "Oh, great! I guess we're just gonna have to hold out and wait until there's another, I don't know, drop off or something.
Yeah,
but we're okay. We're not bad, but we're not hoarding. We don't have 3 giant bags of it sitting around.
Right. No, for me, first of all, no, you can't get a tour of my house. But second, the toilet paper, it's funny because we only had like a handful of rolls left, and then this whole thing hit, and I was like, I'll just get some more toilet paper or whatever. And then again, just like Aaron said, totally bare shelves, right? So I just happened to go back another day, and they happened to have it completely fully stocked. So when I got back there, it wasn't a problem. Now you can't get more than one package of either paper towels, water, or toilet paper. So now you're kind of they have you go into a line. I don't know if you've seen this. You have to get into the line to get in, which loops all the way around the front area, basically. Then when you get in, you have to stay in that line because inevitably everyone there wants toilet paper, paper towels, and water. So you're waiting for an extra half hour, snaking through all of Costco to get to the back to get what you need to get. Anyway, I'm finding out a couple things in terms of my favorite snack. It's those chewy caramel. It's a chocolate caramel sea salt something. You get them at Costco. I can't remember the brand. I'll put it in the comment section or something like that. But if you know what I'm talking about, oh my God, these things are phenomenal. And I ate way too many of them. But I'm finding out that my kids actually go through way more milk than I ever thought possible. We go through 2 gallons a week.
Wow.
2 gallons of milk a week, which is just ridiculous. So I don't know if that was the answer you were looking for in terms of favorite snack, but that's definitely what they consume the most of. But yeah, I know those chocolate sea salt caramel things, dude, killer.
I don't know what my favorite snack is. I haven't really been. I've been trying not to snack because I don't want to get the quarantine 20.
Good luck.
it's not. I'm not faring so well, but I try to not just eat and eat and eat. I saw some post. Someone put a piece of paper in the fridge when you open up the fridge. It says you're not hungry, you're bored.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Bad. Sorry, I got off the rails.
Actually, real quick.
Sure.
For everybody in the comments, please put down your favorite snack during this whole quarantine period, because maybe it'll give me some good ideas. And the healthier, the better. But again, chocolate sea salt caramel, so whatever.
All right, going back to Sharks talk. Ramil says, "Will the Sharks trade LeBanc?" I don't know if they will, but I don't think he's off the table in terms of he's not protected. If a team wants him and the trade is good, he's good as gone. I think. I don't think they're actively looking to move him, but I also don't think he's protected. I'll say it that way.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if the right deal comes along, and I think that's true for anybody, yes, but I think the Sharks wouldn't mind kind of unloading Kevin LeBanc. Like, he hasn't really done anything horribly wrong. Okay, he's talented as an offensive threat, and that's really all he's threatening as, right? He's not going to stuff you in the defensive zone. He makes some goofy plays. He kind of takes some weird penalties here and there, but you know what? He's still a really young guy. I can see them, wanting to kind of groom him a little bit farther, but I could also definitely see them using him as a trade bait. If it gets them the thing that they need, I mean, why not? And especially since he's RFA, after this, he's got the, as of the end of this season, whenever that is, he's got the arbitration rights. And then beyond that, he'll be a UFA. So this is kind of like their last opportunity to kind of really control him and where he goes and what he can bring back, because you know how Doug Wilson kind of likes to give away these no trade clauses and 3-team trade lists and everything else. That he doesn't have to worry about that with Kevin LeBanc, at least not right now. So I think that there's definitely the possibility. Now, will they? Well, we're not insiders, we don't really know, but it could, if the deal makes sense, absolutely they'll unload him for sure. But again, it depends on what kind of deal he's looking for. If he's looking for like a $4 million deal, I don't know. I think he might be, getting the papers. He might be walking. So I'm not sure. So if we can get that trade for a guy that thinks he's worth way more than he is, I mean, he didn't play to the level that we were expecting him to get that contract. So I don't know if he's willing to sign another really cheap deal, then yeah, he's probably not being traded, because it certainly makes sense when you've got the cap crunch going on and everything, especially if we're talking about unload Martin Jones and then signing Holtby and all these other things that people want to happen. I think it might make sense. So I don't know, one way or the other. It's just a matter of what Doug Wilson sees coming in terms of offers and whatnot. And if it makes the team better in his eyes, then he's going to pull the trigger.
Yep. People are talking about their favorite snacks now, but possible trade partners for the Sharks. It's from Anthony Sanchez. Nashville has Forsberg. Toronto has Kapanen. Tampa Bay has Johnson, and they're all pretty much because of the cap casualty is what you call it. So they're up against the cap and would need to trade one of those big contracts for something.
See, the problem though is if they're up against the cap and they're trying to unload a guy, then it would have to be a three-way trade, right? Because if we're going to trade them somebody, it's going to be somebody who's chewing up some cap, right? Because we're in the same predicament that they're in. So if we're going to unload a guy that's got a fair amount of cap, they're not going to be interested because they want to. That's the whole reason they'd be trading. Trust me, they're going to want to keep Philip Forsberg, right? I would love to have Philip Forsberg. He's phenomenal talent. I would love to have that guy. But yeah, so if we could make that happen, I'd be all for it. But again, I think there'd have to be a third party in there just to kind of take on some of the cap one way or the other. So I mean, if anything's possible. Again, when Doug Wilson takes a look at this and he says, this is what's going to make my team better, he'll pull the trigger one way or the other. I mean, he's a magician. We've seen him do some really crazy stuff with trades and pull things back that we just never thought was possible. So definitely an interesting offseason. At least it will be. So I'm really looking forward to seeing. This is kind of one of my favorite times, anyway. Is the whole trade deadline and not trade deadline, the whole free agency period and draft and things happening then. With movement and whatnot. Like it's a really exciting time for me. I really enjoy kind of seeing the dealings and everything else. And when we talked to Doug Wilson and we were asking about what happens with the trade, I remember you asked him if there was a bat phone. Do I just call up? There it is.
All shiny. There it is.
He's got for those on the podcast, Aaron's now holding up the picture of us with Doug Wilson right after our interview with him, which was a real fun interview. Yeah, there you go.
It was a good time.
So he's always looking for the trade that's going to benefit both parties. He's not trying to get one over on anybody else. If it benefits his team, he's going to pull a trigger.
This is going way back from Patrick Cabral. Will Pat and Joe be back next season?
Yeah,
I think they'll both be back. Part of it, they have unfinished business. I think they got a lot left in the tank. They have a big break. I think they're going to be healthy and they're going to be fine. The other part is there's not a lot out there that could replace them, especially at their price point that they're going to come in at. Mm-hmm. Last week I did a cap friendly and I had them at $2 million because that's what Jumbo was at this year. But I bet they might even sign less, maybe $1.5 million.
That's what I'm thinking.
$1 million. And those guys will be third line, maybe second power play time. We'll see. We'll see how the lines stack up and who else they bring in. But I don't see any of the guys from down below coming up and being able to replace them at this point. So to me, that's a no-brainer to bring him back, especially for that third line time.
I got a feeling Marleau might be jumping back and forth between the second line too,
depending on who they get.
Yeah, no. If they fill some holes, then obviously he's going to be pushed down the roster. But I mean, when he came back, he started working his way back up, into the top six and everything, and he was kind of hanging out there for a while. So. I wouldn't be surprised to see Patrick Marleau, first of all, back. I'm not at all shocked to see either one of them back. I know at the beginning of the season, I was saying, I feel like Jumbo, he'll be back for another year. So I really do feel like that's the case. I don't think he's messing with anybody or pulling anybody's legs. I think he's actually going to be tip-top shape and ready to come back and rock. The only weird thing is it's just the length of this offseason. You have to wonder. I'm sure it's good for him to get a lot of that time off and a lot of that rest and those spa days, right? But at the same time, the game is fast. The speed is a factor, and everyone's going to have to catch up to that again. Yes, but for someone who's on the slower end of it, and somebody who is relying on the work ethic and constantly being out there on the ice and working. And I've seen Joe Thornton do this time and time again at practices. He's constantly working. And his inability right now to get out on the ice. Yes, everyone else is kind of in the same boat, but it's Joe. It's 40-year-old Joe. So you got to wonder how much that's really going to affect him. I could definitely see him coming back for one more season, but I'm not sure beyond that. Anybody can say that. The guy's 40 years old. Oh, I think this will be the last one. We've heard this will be the last season for the past 4 seasons for Joe, right? So I understand that that's kind of cliche to say, but I think this season will kind of be the tell-all season if he's going to be able to go any more beyond this, or if this will be it for him. So we'll see how it goes.
I think they'd both be done if they won a cup. They both retire together.
Oh, probably, yeah.
I could see that. Who was it? Anthony said, I still think the Sharks need a player with grit. We can't afford to have Kane fight too much. And then he followed it up with question. If you were Doug Wilson and LA bought out Dustin Brown, would you offer the league minimum and have him play 4th and 3rd line minutes?
No.
I don't think Dustin Brown, even plays that way anymore, for one. He hasn't really been in any trouble in the last, how many years? 8 years or something like that. He's changed his game a lot. Or David Backes. Isn't Backes hurt? Wasn't he on long-term IR?
I don't remember. I mean, you would know, obviously, because you do the fantasy. But
I thought Backes, maybe he just came back. Shoot, he's 35, turning 36 next month. The problem with signing a guy like that, who I have a feeling he's going to be done in the league because he's been hurt. I think at over 35, you sign that contract. If he retires or gets hurt, he's stuck on your cap. So I don't think it's worth it. I don't think teams are going to bite for it. Zach Croft asked, what about a head coach? They were talking about that earlier. I forgot to bring all that up. But there's Boudreau is out there now, and Laviolette. And then there's Bugner. I don't know. I think Doug Wilson's going to call and talk to those guys, see if there's any interest on their end to join the Sharks. I don't see him not at least looking or being interested in looking at a different coach. But I don't think he's going to. I mean, he never gave Bob Bugner the head coaching title. It was always interim head coach.
Yeah.
So he kind of left it open. I think he did that on purpose so he can do a better search. But I think Bugner in the last 2 months, the team finally bought into his kind of style and turned their game around. But I think his game is more towards a team that doesn't have as much skill. I think the Sharks still have a decent amount of skill on the team where they can have a different coach that run a different system. But I know also goaltending for what the system was before Bugner came in wasn't as great. And going back to what we were talking about, Jones is more of a systematic goalie. So he does well with a very good system in place. Mm-hmm. So if Jones went to the New York Islanders, because their system is so locked down tight, man, he would be probably in the Vezina Trophy consideration. I'm not saying he's going to win the Vezina, but look at Leonard. When Leonard was there 2 seasons ago, he won the Vezina, right? He won, or maybe not the Vezina, but he won the Jennings Trophy, which is the lowest goals against average. He shared it with whoever the other starter was, Grice. Him and Grice had the lowest goals against average. Thomas Grice, former Shark player, right? Yeah. Who would have thought Thomas Grice would be leading the league with goals against average, or top 5, top 10, whatever, because of the system. That's why. Mm-hmm. Anyway, what do you think about Milan Lucic if they had bought out Lucic and you signed him to the league minimum?
Yeah, Lucic is one of those guys that you hate, but you wouldn't mind having him on your team. I have much less hate for Milan Lucic than I do for like a Dustin Brown. That's more historical, but I do think Lucic is kind of a goof. He's goony, but he's a very passionate guy. You ask him to go out there and annihilate the other team, he's going to go out there and annihilate the other team. And he's not exactly the best scorer that he used to be. But at the same time, like
He's not a scorer anymore.
no, exactly. That's what I'm okay. So, but I mean, you can if he's willing to take what he's actually worth. Yeah, he could be a pretty good asset on the ice. The question is, what is he actually worth? What do you feel he would be actually worth then?
What would you be happy signing him at?
What was his last contract?
It's like I want to say it was $7 million or something.
Yeah, no. If you were to take like Joe Thornton money, I'd take him. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, basically, you're not asking him to go out there and score goals anymore. If you're just asking him to go out there and give you good, solid, hard grinder type minutes, I think he could be a good asset for the team. He's the guy that everybody hates unless he's on your team, right? I remember when we signed John Scott. Do you remember when we got John Scott?
Yeah.
And everyone, even me, I was going, what is Doug Wilson doing? Why would you take John Scott? And then John Scott was kind of like a celebrity in San Jose for a very brief period, right? Yeah. So I don't know. It's just, again, one of those guys that you love to hate, but if he was on your team, it may be a little bit of a different story. Still, I would never sign Dustin Brown, though.
Lucic has 3 more seasons at $5.2 million.
No, thank you.
Well, I wouldn't say bring him out. If you were to buy him out and the Sharks sign him, like Marlowe, they sign him for the league minimum, right?
Yeah.
If you get Lucic for $1 million for 2 seasons.
1 season.
1 season.
I'd do 1 season.
I still don't know. To me, he's so slow.
He is, yeah.
He has concrete in his skates. Like, he just doesn't move. He's total old school mentality in the new school game, kind of. Like, it just doesn't work. Sure. Even if you just want him as a goon, he's not a total goon. Like, goons these days can skate and play and do stuff. He is just kind of washed up. I don't know.
So what are you asking for? The return of Michael Haley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind Michael Haley.
I wouldn't either, honestly.
League minimum, 4th line guy.
3rd stint. Let's do it.
He knows the guys, knows the system. They love him. The guys love him.
That's true. Yeah, no, all the guys there in the locker room, they do love Michael Haley. That is absolutely true. So, yeah, if you're looking for a guy, just go out there and kind of grind it out. I think we've seen that a few times with the Sharks, and they know a couple guys who are probably always going to be available if they really wanted them. So, if Michael Haley wants to make a return, I mean, he's going to be cheap anyway too. You're not going to have to give up much to get him, or if he's UFA, you just sign him, whatever. But yeah, no, I think going back to you don't want to have Kane doing the fighting. I agree. I don't want to have Kane in the penalty box. I want Kane putting the puck in the net. And Brendan Dillon's no longer there, so that kind of hurts. I think you're going to start seeing some other guys maybe step up. Shimek is a smaller guy, but he's like a little tank. But he's a tough dude. So I don't know. Maybe you light a fire under him, and all of a sudden he kind of becomes that guy you don't want to mess with from the other team. You know what I mean? So who knows? Some guys might kind of grow into that role. In terms of the guys that are coming up, I don't think there's many guys that are coming up that are true, like, beast animal type guys that, nobody wants to mess around with. But I could see, an Alex True was a really big body. He's not going to drop the gloves with anybody. Who's the other guy? Lean Bergman was feisty, right? Yeah, so we've got a couple guys maybe that can come up, and even if they're not able to put the puck in the net right away, at least they can kind of earn their stripes, being a pest for the other teams to deal with.
Yeah. Rob Iman just said Middleton can fight. Yeah, but he got hurt. He had too many concussions. Like, he's not going to be able to be that consistent fighter guy. Not that we have many, but I could see that 6th defenseman that whoever they bring in would be that tougher guy role, kind of like a lesser. God, who just said his name? Wow, no, the defenseman.
Oh,
Dilly.
Oh,
lesser Dylan.
Okay.
Sorry. A tougher guy on skates who can skate and play, but not going to be as good.
Yeah, Rob. You must be a Barracuda fan, I'm guessing. So are you high on Middleton? What really is his strength? Because I've seen him play a little bit, and I haven't just really pinned down what the guy's really good at. He seems like a decent all around player, but it doesn't seem like there's he's not like to me at least. I don't. Maybe he's not like a fighter type. Maybe he's not not a really big offensive threat. At least not at the NHL level. So what is it that you see in Middleton that you feel that he deserves a call up and that he could better the Sharks roster? So yeah, let me know. Put those in the comments, please, because I see him and I see him as a call up, but I don't see him as a guy that's going to be a mainstay in the NHL. And maybe I'm just not reading it correctly. So
yeah, I don't think I think Middleton's not even signed through next season. I don't think, but just someone like him, I think. I don't know. Yeah, Ben just said we have like 20 problems to fix right now, and we can tweak our roster because big contracts are. I think he meant to say we can't tweak. We can't tweak our roster because big contracts are killing us, and young guys are not stepping up. Yeah, but it's a whole nother year, and who knows what's going to happen in the offseason in terms of bringing in and sending out players. I mean, I hope Anthony doesn't get hit in the head, but I think the Burns moving out makes sense.
Don't do it. She's going to throw that shoe.
What do you think the chances of Jonathan Dahlin making the Sharks roster next season? I don't know about the roster. I'd like to see him play in the Barracuda, but I bet he comes into camp challenging for a spot and looking good because he's tearing up I forget what league he went into. But he's somewhere in Europe right now. I mean, his dad was my favorite player, my first original favorite Sharks player, Ulf Dahlin. So I was so excited when the Sharks traded for him from Vancouver. But there was kind of like, to me, like red flags a little bit because he didn't like the coaching staff in Vancouver. Then he came here and he couldn't crack the Barracuda roster. And so he decided to go back to Europe instead of trying to fight for our spot. So I was like, okay, what's really going on? Like, come on, at least he's doing well. So, and Anthony just said the boot has been thrown. Do the Sharks keep Heed? I was looking at this last week when I did the cap friendly. I think they do because there are not very many right-handed shots defensemen that are on the UFA market that are even remotely close to being in the NHL that aren't already super expensive. Like Pietrangelo is one guy, like the Sharks are going to go after him. So to me, it makes sense just to have him as that 6th, 7th guy. I mean, it sucks for him. He's going to be that tweener kind of, right? Where he's too good for the Barracuda, but not good enough for the NHL to be consistent. And he's going to be scratched and sitting in the press box a lot.
You know what you call that? Trade bait. I've been trying to trade Tim Heath for 2 seasons. Okay,
I know.
I think he belongs on another team that maybe doesn't have the depth at the same position that he plays. I think he belongs on a team that needs to kind of take a flyer on a guy, right? And I think the Sharks need to finally just kind of say, okay, either we're playing you or we're not, because all we're doing is having him sit in the press box. This guy's not doing anything for his own career, and the Sharks aren't doing anything for his career either. So I really feel like he needs to get out of San Jose, not because he sucks and we need to trade him and none of that stuff. I just feel like a move for him as a person and as a player and as somebody who wants to grow in this league, it's the right move for him. Having said that, yeah, we re-signed Tim Heed and we bring him back on as a 6th, 7th defenseman. If he's willing to take the money again that we've been offering him, then absolutely, I think we bring him back in. Again, he knows the system, he knows the coaching, he knows the players, he knows the goaltending tendencies, he knows everything there is to know about the San Jose Sharks from the blue line, right? It's just he's not like the best player. That's the only problem. So I think if the money's right, you sign him again and you bring him back on. And when next season hits, whenever that happens to start up, and if we do have Tim Heed on the roster, yes, I will be asking for Tim Heed to be traded again. But as of right now, sign him.
I don't think there's going to be a trade market for him, or there is no trade market for him because he's going to be a UFA. And if a team wanted him, they're just going to sign him this summer.
You know what? That just means he'll be cheap.
Right.
Nobody wants him.
Yeah.
He'll be cheap.
Because I feel like he could be a 5th, 6th defenseman on most, maybe not most teams, but there are some low-level teams that are just going to need somebody that's a right-handed shot that can move the puck out of the back.
Yeah. You would think as a right-handed shot who's too good for the AHL, you should never be just hanging out in the press box, right?
Yeah.
Real quick before we move on to the next topic, I've got my hat, and Aaron's got his, it's over there, teal shirt on. This is actually an old school black. This one isn't even nearly as comfortable as that thing over there is, trust me. This is like the Hanes Super Awesome, and this is one over here is way better than it anyway. If you guys want to help support the show and you're not doing it through Super Chat, please feel free. There's the hats up there too. Please feel free to pop over to thefinfactor.com, hit the three little lines in the top corner there. It's to support the show. That is what you're doing. You're helping us put these productions on, essentially. So feel free to go there, pick up a hat, t-shirt. We've got them in teal, gray, black, a black women's deep V cut. We've also got stickers. So anything you do purchase goes straight back into the show, and it helps us out to keep the lights on and keep doing these productions for you guys. So here's all of our products right there, actually. Thank you, super producer Jason, for being on the ball on that one. Very good. Yeah, that teal one, I love that.
That's what I'm on right now.
There you are. Okay. So, yeah, there sits me in all my glory. Thank you, super producer Jason. People on the podcast, go ahead and check the YouTube version of this out, and you'll get a good chuckle. That's at the 45 or so minute mark. Anyway, moving right along. Are there any other comments or questions you want to go ahead and handle right here?
Just talking about trades. The main reason Rob says the main reason he doesn't come back is because Ryan Merkley. I still don't think Ryan Merkley's not going to be ready for the NHL next year. He's too small. He needs to bulk up. His defensive responsibility is getting better, but it's not quite NHL level. So I think he's going to need at least another year. He's going to be 20, I think, next year. I think he turns 20.
Yeah.
So I think he'll maybe he'll stay in juniors, play a year. What's that year called?
There's a year. I don't know, whatever it is.
If you're 20, you can decide to go to the AHL or stay and play your big year in your juniors. Maybe
I feel like it's a waste to stay in juniors for him. I feel like if he wants to start getting himself going on the path to the NHL, even as a 20-year-old defenseman, you're a 20-year-old stud defenseman is what you are. You're a stud in that league already. If you want to grow, you don't do the exact same thing that you've been doing with older talent moving out that's ready for the AHL or for the NHL, and younger talent who you're far better than by years coming into that league. If you want to get better, you don't play against competition that's worse than you just so you can light it up. You play against the guys that are at your level or higher, and that's where you're going to get that development from. So if Ryan Merkley is serious about making the jump to the NHL, I think that's really what he needs to do. He needs to aim to play in the AHL. And if that means he doesn't get the minutes that he wants, he needs to learn to not throw that tantrum and just go with the flow, do what the development staff is asking of him. And I think he'll find that it's the right path.
I don't know. It might not even be his choice, that could be the Sharks choosing for him to play in juniors again for another year. A lot of people are thinking he's going to get traded or he's going to be played because of cap issues for the Sharks.
I kind of felt like he was going to get traded only because, to me, again, when you look at Doug Wilson's track record of trading first-round picks, right? To me, Ryan Merkley is that first-round pick, not just in his quality, but in his uncertainty and value, right? We know he's a really good player. Just like a first-round pick, you're going to be able to pick a guy who's one of the top 30 or so players in the world at that level, right? So I just feel like he could be used in the same way that a first-round draft pick can be used, in that you can say, hey, this guy's, phenomenal player. Here's his stats. What he brings. He's got maybe a little bit of an attitude problem, but he's super young, as Aaron keeps saying. I'm sure all the scouts are listening to Aaron. So, you take that with a grain of salt, and you try to make this guy, a trade bait for something that's a known quantity. Just like when we moved a first-round pick for Evander Kane, we know what we're getting. Just like we moved, the assets to get Erik Karlsson. Yeah, you gave up a couple of assets of your own, but they were third line and bottom six defensive pairing. Like, it just, to me, it makes more sense to go get the thing that is what you're getting with the first round pick. Unless it's really high, you're still not really sure what it is that you're going to end up with. Now, maybe you've got a guy targeted, but you don't know how he's going to develop. So, and we've seen that with guys like Mirko Mueller and Nikolai Goldobin, for instance. So you thought they were going to be great, You tell me, would you rather have Evander Kane or Mirko Mueller, essentially, right? I mean, which one would you rather have? I'll take the known quantity. I don't, so I don't know. To me, I think it just makes more sense. And I'm not saying always trade your first away, but I am saying that if you're able to get something back that is a great player, and he's a great player, why not move the first, right? Mm-hmm. So in the same way, you're not really sure what you're getting with a Ryan Merkley because of the whole attitude thing or whatever the case may be with him. If you're not sure what you're getting, maybe you find a team that is interested, and if the price is right, yeah, absolutely, use him in the same way that you would use any other future, and move him to get something that your team needs right now. I honestly, and I know that the Sharks didn't do that great this season, but I don't think that they're so far away from being a contender. Maybe not like the top cup contender, but I mean, maybe middle of the pack for playoffs. So I don't know. I think they're still a good team, and I think that if you make a couple little moves here and there, and you get some magic with the cap and everything going on, I think this team's right back on the hunt. And if that means unloading a guy like a Ryan Merkley, then okay.
Yeah, you mentioned Nikolai Goldobin. That was announced today or yesterday that he's going to go play in the KHL. He just signed a 2-year contract. So we traded him to Vancouver, and people were upset because he was our first round pick from God knows how many years ago, 2014 or something like that. And he didn't pan out in the NHL. I wouldn't say he's quite a bust, but plus it was a later first round pick. It's not like it was a top 10 first round pick. So that's a great example of there's no guarantee of every first round pick. There's no guarantee.
Absolutely.
So let's do a roll call. Tell us where you're watching. Obviously from home. I mean, I would hope. And what city you're in is what I mean. And how about your favorite snack? Your favorite quarantine snack?
Okay. By the way, what was your favorite quarantine snack? I don't think we ever hit yours.
That's what I was saying. I'm not really snacking that much. I'm trying not to. So
okay, you said that much, but there's got to be something that's your go-to. When you're jonesing for something, what do you open that cupboard and you go, I'm getting one of these?
I mean, usually it's like a bar. Like I'll just grab a bar. So I'm not I'm not sitting there snacking on little things and just like, holy crap, I just ate 30 of them. It's like, oh, I'm kind of hungry. I'm just gonna grab a bar and drink a lot of water.
We talked a little earlier about Costco and how Costco was out of like everything, right? One of the things, and I was heartbroken for like weeks, they were out of popcorn. Popcorn.
Pop your own popcorn.
No, I have it. It's not the same. Don't start with me, okay? Don't start with me. It's not the same. So I finally got it, and a whole kitchen drawer. I'm like a drawer. The whole thing is just popcorn. So I'm back. That's kind of my go-to lately. Actually, I'll put on Ozark. I've been watching a lot of Ozark lately. It's a really good show if you guys haven't been watching it, and I'll pop a bag of popcorn there, and that's kind of been my go-to. So what else? Just bars, like protein bars, or
it's a protein bar. It's actually Costco protein bar. Kirkland Signature Costco protein bar. It's pretty decent.
Nice.
I don't know. I tried it once I bought it once and I was like, these are pretty good. So then I was like, all right, I'm just gonna keep getting them.
Nice.
There was a question way back. This is gonna be us going off the rails a little bit. Have you done any projects around the house now that you've had a lot more time?
Projects around the house.
Like a honeydew list.
Yes, sort of. It's not really a project, but okay. So we bought 40 something pounds of Lego for the kids. For me. So we bought a ton of it, and it was right after, I'm talking like a couple of days after this whole thing with coronavirus was like in the news and everything else. So I got all of it. I washed all of it, and we bought some bins and everything. And I've got Lego coming out of my ears right now. It's just nuts. I have so much.
I've seen the video.
It's insane. So yeah, that's what I've been doing in terms of projects and whatnot. I've been building little things. I built a little egg spinner with the Technic and the motors and stuff, so that the kids can just put the Sharpie down and it just spins. Yeah, it was really good, dude. It was cool. So, but yeah, no, I've just been kind of goofing around a little bit with that. Not really like house project stuff, but yeah, just keeping the kids busy, that kind of thing.
Nice. I just went to Lowe's the other day, and that was quite the experience. I went on actually yesterday on Saturday, which is the worst time to go.
You waited outside?
What?
Did you wait outside?
Yeah, so when you get there, there's a line in to go in, and there's a counter. They don't want too many people in there, so that there's a guy like counting how many people go in, and then there's a whole what do you call it, like a Purell station. So you get the hand sanitizer before you go in, and they wipe all the carts down and then hand you the cart.
Yeah,
and then it was nice because for as busy as it was on Saturday, there weren't that many people like in the store. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of easy to manage. It kind of sucked waiting in line for a little bit, but yeah. So I went in and I have like a couple projects I want to do. One, I have a bunch of bricks left over from various projects from my family. Actually, like just over the years, we just have a bunch of bricks.
Okay.
So they've been passed around the family. Like it's a whole long thing. But anyway, I have this giant pile of bricks. I want to build a sandbox for my kids out of brick. So I bought mortar. And then I built a bar in my backyard out of cinder block about 2 years ago, and I haven't finished the face of it, so it's still cinder block. So I bought tile to put tile up, which I've never tiled a wall before. I've done flooring, but not a wall. Yeah. So it's kind of learning as I go. Nice. And then we did some gardening stuff out in the front of the yard, like just bought some flowers and soil and stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When you said I have a ton of brick, my mind went straight to Lego. So I've been brainwashed.
Different kinds of bricks. We have different kinds of bricks.
How about you guys? What kind of projects have you guys been doing at home? I'm sure everyone's got tons of time. How you guys been doing with the homeschooling, man? I gotta ask you, Aaron. How you been doing with the homeschooling stuff? Because I know it's been rough. What's that?
It's different because my son's in preschool. My daughter's 1.5. So there's no Zoom meetings with teachers. Yeah. There's nothing. It's basically what we were doing if my son wasn't in school, like those days,
Gotcha. Yeah.
So it's not my daughter has no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
She's too little. Nothing's really changed for her. And my son, the first 2 weeks were hard on him because he wanted to go to preschool to see his friends and then like go to Happy Hollow he didn't understand why we couldn't go to Happy Hollow or go to the library, which is what we do a lot. Yeah, so that was kind of hard, but after that, now it's the new normal. So he's fine.
Gotcha.
But your kids are a little older, so it's a little harder.
Yeah. So my youngest is still he's in pre-K. So he's got like some packets. They gave him like 3 packets to do over the course of 3 weeks. And my son's not exactly like, he's a bright kid, but he's not like a whiz or anything. He did 3 packets in 2 days. Like it's just not enough work. It's not him. It's that the stuff they're giving him is not that difficult. And so he just goes, okay. And he burns through it. So we ended up signing up for ABC Mouse with them. And they just absolutely love that thing. So it's just been nothing but like for the guy in pre-K, it's just been nothing but ABC Mouse, that kind of stuff. And he's been really enjoying it. For my oldest, it's, we got homework and stuff, and I cannot keep up with all of the different things that are going on. So I hope he doesn't fail and have to redo first grade because it'll be my fault entirely.
No, every kid's going to be in the same boat.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. If it doesn't work out, I'll have to teach him how to do podcasts, I guess. So have him work with super producer Jason or something. I don't know. But, it's definitely been rough.
Well, when it's all over, you could do sandbox videos.
Yeah. No, I love my kids, but I can't stand my kids. So it's been interesting past a few weeks or a month or whatever it's been. So
it's a good love-hate relationship, right?
Yeah. No, it's I think my wife's kind of tired of me too. So I'm not sure how much longer I'm gonna last. But
yeah. All right, let's go back to hockey a little bit, huh?
Yeah, sure.
Unlikely. Jay Money said, unlikely there's not going to be any prospect scrimmage or fan fest. At this point, I'd be happy if next season got started on time. I think maybe we do see for that first month neutral sites or something, or no fans in attendance, that kind of thing. So you're playing in front of nobody. If they're going to play in front of nobody, I think it would be cool is if they went to smaller arenas because it doesn't matter. right? And you play like, I mean, not the Cow Palace, but let's say the Barracuda had their arena open, like done, because they're building one, or
Right.
they're going to be building one on their practice facility. I think it'd be cool if they played there, because then you can get cameras in a lot closer and different angles than you normally would get.
Yeah.
And the sounds would be right there, magnified even more. I don't know. Just something different, I guess. I don't know if they would do that. It would feel less empty on TV.
See, and I think the idea of having it at a neutral site where all the teams are going to be playing at one of these, handful of sites, that makes more sense to me than trying to do it at your own arena or at the Barracuda's arena whenever that gets built, and doing it with no fans there. Only because, again, the staffing and all of the production that is required to put a hockey game on and put it on TV and put it on radio and everything else, all of that maybe could be localized just to that one rink, or that small handful of rinks, as opposed to each individual rink. So it maybe is more plausible that way, but I just don't see it. I honestly just don't. I don't. I'm not even sure if you'll see hockey before they allow fans. I think the next time you see hockey, it'll be with fans, because, again, you've got all these people that have to live in a bubble. I think what they would rather just do is say, you know what, we're just going to push it off until we can jump back in, full bore. And if it's not safe for fans to be there, then why is it safe for our players to be there, right? And if it's just because it's that small group, again, you're going to have to deal with those people trying to live in isolation, from family and from everybody else for, until they allow fans essentially to come back and watch games in the arena, right? Because otherwise, you're sending mixed messages. So I don't know. I honestly, I kind of feel like the next time you see hockey, it'll be with fans, because they're gonna wait until they can actually do it with fans. I don't know.
I could see them doing no fans for the first, like I said, the first month. We'll see. It also, like we talked about this earlier, depends on the area. Like Santa Clara County kind of said nothing before Thanksgiving, but I mean, you can be in, I don't know, let's say Las Vegas, and they just don't care. And so they're like, yeah, everyone wants to come back. Just throw everyone back.
Yeah.
Who knows? It'll be interesting. It'll be, it's really sad. Sad, but sports are kind of the last thing that should be really important here. Like,
well, and speaking of sad and sports being the last thing, and I kind of hate to end on this note, so maybe we'll find something else to maybe chat about. But I don't know if you saw, I know you saw, but the folks that are watching, I don't know if you guys saw the whole thing with Colby Cave. He was a hockey player. He played in the AHL quite a bit with the Condors, I believe, and prior to that, he was playing with Boston for a few games. He played with Edmonton for a few games. I don't think it's not coronavirus related. He had a cyst in his head or his brain somewhere. I don't know. It was causing a blood clot essentially, and they were going to try to get it figured out. They were going to have surgery and whatnot, and they had to put him in a medically induced coma. I believe that was on Tuesday. Now he passed away, which is it's heartbreaking and it's unfortunate. The more gut wrenching part of this is when you see his wife's Instagram account. And I would encourage you to go check that out. In fact, super producer Jason's about to put it up right now. This is her laying on her husband, who's either in a coma or has just passed away. And it's an image that I can't get out of my head. And my heart goes out to Emily and Colby's family. And I know thoughts and prayers don't do anything, but seeing this image here is just, it's rough. And there's 3 total photos here. I don't know if super producer Jason wants to kind of flip through them real fast here, but she's obviously in a lot of hurt and a lot of pain right now. And the whole hockey community is kind of rallied around this. You saw messages from even guys that, on the Sharks. Kevin LeBanc had said something about it as well, saying, our hearts go out to you guys, and different organizations, everybody kind of feeling the loss here, but none quite as heavily, of course, as his wife, Emily, and I'm sure the rest of his family as well. But just a really rough kind of image to see there. And, we didn't have it, but the Instagram post that she put up prior to this one here where she was basically saying, please wake up, and it's just it's a nightmare essentially for that family. So again, I know thoughts and prayers don't do anything, but my heart does go out to them, and hopefully they mentally can get back on the mend and kind of pick their life back up. So
very tragic.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry, super heavy. Didn't mean to kind of hit us with that right now, but yeah, like I said, I can't get that out of my head. So is there anything else in the comments there to kind of wrap up on here?
Well, if you want to lighten it up here a little, Scott Kemp said he played NHL 20 on PS4, did the season and playoffs and won everything as the Sharks. And then he went to take a screenshot during the celebrations and it backed out of the game video and he never saw him hoist the cup. very, very San Jose Shark-like. So
yeah,
I think I've done that before too. So excited, and then fat finger it and it goes away.
So sorry for that, Scott. Geez, that's a bummer. Hey, you know what? Maybe you can go back to a previous game save or something like that and do it all over again. Who knows? Maybe you had a game save the previous game. But yeah, speaking of NHL 20, actually, where have you been? You're a ghost.
Me?
Good Lord, man.
I've been playing Borderlands and too lazy to change the disc out of my PlayStation to put NHL back in.
I gotta tell you, we've been playing some. I know most of the guys in here don't like listening to us talk about NHL 20, but I gotta say it's been a lot of fun recently. Been jumping on with my nephew, been jumping on with some of the guys that are now playing Monster Hunter World. I know that's Super Cube Joe was one of his favorite games from a while back there, but it's been great. Been jumping on and having a good time, and yeah, you got to get back on there, dude. Actually, also. I did check and I've got like maybe 4 roster spots that I just cleared up. So if anyone is jumping in last second here, the only thing I ask is that you just play some games. So pop in there, especially the Threes Eliminator. Feel free to jump in there. If we haven't done it as a club already, get us some bags. We've unlocked quite a bit of stuff. So I'm super happy with that. But yeah, like I said, I got a couple roster spots open there. So if anybody is still hardcore gaming, feel free to pop on over and we'll play a little bit.
Zinksy just jumped on. He said, "Hey guys, forgot you guys were on streaming. My bad." And then he wrote 15 million.
You forgot 15 million. Get out of here.
That's his salary. For those you don't know Zinksy, he's quite the wizard at the center position on EA Sports Online.
Yeah. Zinksy is like a Division 1 player
he makes us way better than we should be. I'll say that.
He's what?
He makes us way better than we should be.
Yeah, he does.
He takes the puck and just does this thing, and Paul and I just sit there and go.
I think actually, Zinksy, if you want to put in the comments real quick, your Twitch, I think is what it is. Go ahead and plug that right now, because I saw some video of Zinksy just going berserk in NHL 20. And Aaron, if you haven't seen it, dude, you watched it. He goes berserk, and like they can't touch him. Nobody can touch him. He's just walks
he's that
around.
guy that I hate playing against.
Yeah, I curse the guys like you out, Zinksy. So anyway, it's feel free to plug that, because you're an awesome player, and it's definitely fun watching, and it's even more fun when I get to be on the same team and take some benefits from all that amazing play. So thanks for popping in.
I do miss hockey, like especially in April. It's really hard to not be watching playoff hockey right now.
Yeah.
So I might be jumping on to play some NHL this week.
Ooh, okay. Pressure him, guys. Force him to do it. Cool. Anything else you want to pop on there, or are you good?
Me?
Yeah.
Or the other guy on the feed?
No. Yeah, you.
Hans Sawinski just said, "I would love to challenge him. I am on PS4."
Ooh. Do we got it? Oh, okay. Here's what needs to happen, okay? Hans, you need to his Zinksy's Twitter account or whatever it is, okay? You guys need to get all 3 of us together on that so that you guys can play and I can watch it, because I'd love to do that.
I know, man. That Hans is so hot right now.
Ooh, maybe we can stream it actually from Zinksy probably stream it from his Twitch account. But yeah, I would love to watch that.
We do have a Twitch account, and I just gave Paul the access to it because I wasn't playing it anymore. So Paul has access to putting up our stuff on Twitch, which is not safe for work. There's a lot of A lot of swearing. So
some foul language. Yeah.
Andres just asked us when our next live stream will be for this show.
I'm hoping next week. Andres, I'll tell you this though. There's really not any content right now. Now we could drum up stuff for you. Okay. We could make things up, and we've just been doing that for the past 20 minutes. But we can come up with things to kind of BS about, right? Part of one of the things that Aaron and I talked about when we made this show, though, is that we want to stay on a weekly schedule, but we don't also want to just bombard you guys with junk. So if we've got a show going on, right now it's kind of unprecedented. So we're kind of just trying to keep the interactions going with our fan base, mostly because we just really like our fan base and we enjoy talking with them and especially fielding the questions and whatnot. But, if we're doing not a live show, if we were doing like a recorded show, but there was nothing to talk about, I would just say, let's just not do the show. Because the last thing I want to do is bombard people with, emails about, oh, hey, check this video out. And there's nothing fun that's there. So, when's our next show going to be? It'll probably be another live, and it'll probably be next week. I don't know if
we're going to be doing anything else other than lives at this point. Yeah. We'll see. Unless we're going to try and get some interviews going for you guys for some of the other hockey people that are home. So hopefully we can interview some people, and that would be more of a recorded episode that would come out later.
Yeah. So if we have something like that, then yeah, absolutely. We'll have a recorded show and we'll put it out. Otherwise, I think you probably just kind of bank on us doing the live, kind of like a once a week live kind of thing. And like I said, I don't like, because I've been on the receiving end of that where it's just like, okay, shut up, and I stop with the notifications. I'm done. I don't even want to watch you anymore. So we don't want to do that to you guys. We don't want to bombard you with a bunch of junk, essentially. So when there's something good to talk about, we'll do a recorded show. Other than that, we'll do our live shows and just constantly connect with you guys. So there you go.
Andres just followed up and said, you guys should do a My Sharks collection video. Show us your jerseys, photos, and favorite memories. And then Sharks Fever 24 asked, Paul, did you buy the Stealth jersey when it was 40% off?
No, I bought the Stealth jersey the day it came out.
That was a fan fest, right?
That was a fan fest. The day it was available. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I got the discount on it. The whole
they were doing a discount, weren't they? That day?
They I don't remember if they were just doing it or if they were just told me, you can just have it. But I did get the discount, whatever. I think it was 20%. I don't remember. Yeah. But yeah, no, I bought it at the fan fest.
Cool. All right, we're caught up.
Very good.
You can jump on NHL tonight?
I probably, maybe not. Maybe not tonight. We'll see how it goes. How's that?
I will.
Oh, well then maybe I will. Let's go ruffle some feathers, man. Come on.
Let's go do it. It's been a while.
Yeah, you got to get up and hit the eject button, though. You got to swap the disc. You going to be able to handle that? Can you do it?
I don't know. That's rough. It's rough.
Zinksy, pop in, dude. It's very rare that Aaron's playing, so we need you there, okay? Got to make up for this guy. All right. Very good. Okay, guys. Hey, that was a lot of fun. I'm enjoying the heck out of this. I hope you guys are as well. It's definitely a nice little sanity check kind of thing. Bring you back to your center every once in a while. I'll be able to talk with you guys. And, again, hopefully we're doing the same thing for you guys. It's therapeutic, I think, right, if anything else. So, unless you got anything else to say, Aaron?
Nope.
You all good? Okay. So for super producer Jason and super key grip Joe, I think might have been kind of hiding out behind the scenes there. I don't know. Maybe we can get him on here too. I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
And we will see you guys
probably next week.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, check out our other content, especially interviews. You can interact with us directly through social media at The Fin Factor and on Instagram at Fin Factor. And don't forget to join our live streams on YouTube.
Visit our website at thefinfactor.com, where you'll find all of our episodes as videos or podcasts. You'll also find our exclusive merchandise to help support our show.